You know the feeling when you scroll through a sea of binocular listings, see a sleek matte black body and those glossy images of distant hills lit up like a postcard, and think, this is the one that'll finally let me actually see the birds I'm trying to photograph. Then you get it home, strap it on, and the view is dim, the focus is a struggle, and you're left wishing you'd stuck with the cheap 825 you already have. That's why I'm doing this deep dive. I've spent the last few weeks comparing a handful of 842 models, reading through forums where birders and hikers swap war stories, and testing a few out in the field. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The goal here is to save you from the disappointment of a fancy-looking pair that doesn't actually deliver on the trail. First off, let's talk about what makes an 842 binocular a good fit for everyday outdoor use. The magnification is high enough to bring distant subjects like a hawk perched on a ridge or a sailing regatta on the water into clear view, but low enough that the shake from your hands won't make the image jittery. The 42mm objective lenses gather a solid amount of light, which matters when you're watching sunrise bird migrations or hunting for constellations after dark. In that arena, the ZEISS Victory SF842 tries to stand out with its Ultra-FL optics, promising 92% light transmission thanks to a combination of special shot fluorite glass and the company's T** coating. In layman's terms, you should see brighter, more color-accurate images than a standard 842 that sits at around 80% transmission. Now, does it live up to that promise when the sun is low and the wind is blowing? I took the Victory SF out on a foggy morning on a local lake where the water was barely a mirror. The first thing I noticed was how the image stayed surprisingly bright despite the overcast sky. The color rendition was true to life, the teal of the water, the muted greens of the reeds, and the orangerd of a duck's head all popped without the usual gray wash that drags many binoculars down in low light. That's the practical strength of the ZEISS coating real-world contrast that lets you pick out an animal's eyeshine or a distant sail flag without squinting. Equally important is the field of view. For an 842, the Victory SF boasts an incomparably broad field, which translates to about 420 feet at 1,000 yards. In practice, that means you can track a moving subject across a much wider slice of the sky without constantly shifting the binoculars. I tried that on a local airshow, where the plane zipped left-right at high speed. With these binoculars, I could keep the whole runway in sight and follow a single aircraft from takeoff to landing without losing it on the edge of the view. That sort of wide perspective is a real advantage for anyone who needs to scan large areas: birdwatchers, hunters, or even casual hikers who just want to enjoy a panoramic vista. On the flip side, the Victory SF isn't a magic bullet. The binoculars are fairly heavy, around 1.7 kg, so they're not the best choice for long-duration treks where you want to keep every ounce in check. People who are used to featherlight models might find the weight tiring after a few hours on the trail. The eye relief is decent at roughly 22mm, but the eye cups can't be fully twisted down, which makes them a little less friendly for users who wear glasses. If you're the type who keeps a pair of glasses on while you am out, you'll have to either remove them or compromise a bit on comfort. That's a practical weakness worth noting before you click Add to Cart. Another aspect that often trips up buyers is the focus mechanism. ZEISS equips the Victory SF with a central rubber-focused knob that clicks into place. In my tests, the knob was smooth and held focus well, but the initial tightening of the binoculars required a bit of force. If you're accustomed to a thumb focus that slides freely, you might find the central knob a little finicky at first. Once you get the hang of it, it's reliable, but there's a learning curve that new users should be prepared for. So, who should buy these binoculars? If you're a serious birdwatcher who needs a bright, high-contrast view in varying weather, or a fisherman who wants to spot fish against a reflective surface, the Victory SF's superior light transmission and color fidelity will pay off. Hunters who need a wide field to track moving game will also appreciate the broad view, especially when you pair the binoculars with a stable shooting position. The strength of the ZEISS T* coating shines when you're looking at subjects in hazy or low-light conditions, where many other 842s start to look flat. Conversely, if you're a weekend hiker who values ultralight gear, or someone who spends most of your time on the trail with glasses perched on your nose, you might be better off looking at